Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 707. Danitz's Request. We've reached Byam? Klein stood up upon hearing that and looked out. He saw the familiar Resistance's private harbor. He didn't show his surprise as he commented calmly. Faster than I expected. It was 3 hours faster than he had expected. It's faster than I expected as well. Edwina looked away and agreed with Gehrman Sparrow. However, these are all unimportant details. Klein lowered his head, pretending as though he was browsing through the rest of the Book of the Three Worlds. He then handed it to Vice Admiral Iceberg. That marks the end of this discussion. Edwina looked at the book in silence. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. She reached for the Book of the Three Worlds and placed it on the table in passing. Following that, she got up and bowed. I look forward to future discussions with you. Your expertise in ancient history is admirable. If Klein had been acting as himself, he would have said a few words of humility while praising Vice Admiral Iceberg for her breadth of knowledge. Unfortunately, he was the crazy adventurer, Gehrman Sparrow. All he did was nod and say, "We are collaborators." It meant that there would be opportunities in the future. He didn't speak further as he left the captain's cabin and returned to his room. He packed his suitcase with a relaxed mind, waited for the Golden Dream to dock, and then headed straight for the deck. At that moment, there were many crew members gathered on the deck. It included Gourmet Brew Walls, Singer Orpheus, and Flowery Bow Tie Jodson, most of the crew who were upper echelon members of the pirate crew with their heads worth a handsome bounty. They gave sincere smiles as they happily kept waving at Klein. Among them, Beryl and Iron Skin were filled with excitement as they belted out a song for their departing guest. When did I have such a good relationship with them? Klein lampooned as he walked past the pirates until he arrived at the gangway. Anderson Hood was there with his hair combed, his clothes neat and tidy. He said with a laugh, "They probably mean to say goodbye, or should I say, let's hope we don't meet again. Gehrman, do you know how dangerous a situation you were in? You nearly became the public enemy of every crew member. They were so eager to steer the Golden Dream to Byam in 5 minutes." Klein was just about to answer when he saw Danitz jog over with a black cloak draped over him. This fellow has really resolved himself to do better, and he plans to leave the Golden Dream to go at it alone. This is a little incompatible with my plans. Only by being around Vice Admiral Iceberg and the Church of the God of Knowledge and Wisdom would his value as a believer of the Fool be accentuated. However, it doesn't matter. If Danitz can grow stronger, it will be even more meaningful. Klein habitually measured the pros and cons before ignoring his other thoughts. He looked at Danitz in silence and waited for him to speak. Danitz opened his mouth with a serious expression, but nothing came out of it. All he did was give a hollow chuckle and say to Anderson, "Do you have the potion formula for Conspirer?" "Yes," Anderson said with a chuckle. "But I have no plans on selling it to you." Danitz's expression darkened as Anderson continued unfazed. "What's the point of obtaining the Conspirer potion formula now? Any attempts to advance now will only result in failure. Pal, it's best you redo your acting as a hunter, followed by a provoker, and then a pyromaniac. Heh, it's best that you get an artisan to make that giant's heart into a defensive mystical item. Otherwise, I'm afraid you would be killed by others when the time comes. After you're sure about your chances, get the Conspirer potion formula from your captain. She has it. However, I believe that will be the end for you. Heh, Conspirer has very high requirements." Danitz's face twitched as he was being mocked, but he remembered every word Anderson told him. This was because the man before him had the title of Strongest Hunter, who had rich experience on this pathway. Furthermore, he had a vague idea that the key was acting. He suspected that the captain's guidance from before was directed at this, just that it was rather vague. "There will come a day when I'll let you know what a true conspirer is," Danitz stubbornly retorted before looking at Gehrman Sparrow. He cleared his throat as he said without daring to look into his eyes, "I've already made the request with Captain. In the future I'll be in contact with the Resistance, and I'll often be in Byam. It means you don't wish to leave the Golden Dream, but you will find opportunities to hone yourself? Hell, why does it feel like you're reporting to your boss? Klein chuckled inwardly as he gave a terse answer. Danitz was instantly relieved as he felt a lot better. If it wasn't because his companions were watching behind him, he would have diligently helped Gehrman Sparrow carry his suitcase and send him all the way to the dock. After watching Gehrman and Anderson leave, he cautiously decided to pray to the Fool every day starting tonight. He wanted to show his devotion to prevent any accidents from happening to him. Inside the Resistance's private harbor, Anderson watched as Gehrman Sparrow circled into another newly built road before walking out of the woods via the shortest distance. You seem familiar with this place? This road wasn't here the last time I was here, Anderson said, partially bored and poignant. Of course, there are so many people praying to me every day telling me what they've done, and I occasionally give them a response, such as directing them to mend this road. Klein thought smugly but replied with a stoic expression. Where does your friend stay? In a manor in the Bayam city outskirts. Anderson sped up his pace as he led the way. An hour later, he brought Klein to a manor. There was an eclectic smell from various spices, mixed with an indescribable ersatz exoticism. After informing the gatekeeper of their intentions, the two didn't wait long before they saw a man of medium-sized build of less than 1.75 meters walk over. By his side were his butler and valet. The man's skin was somewhat sallow, with quite a tan. His contours were gentle, but his eye sockets were much more recessed than most Loanese. To Klein, he could basically determine the man's background. He was a Highlander from the Fanapotter kingdom. The man was already a little plump, with a rotund, amiable face. He immediately laughed when he saw the strongest hunter. Anderson, you aren't dead yet? I'm waiting to attend your funeral, Anderson replied without standing on ceremony. He then turned sideways to Klein. Ukfa Konakris, the doctor of my former team. He didn't introduce Gehrman Sparrow to Ukfa and said with a grin, I've brought you business. Ukfa instantly understood Anderson and didn't ask in front of his butler and valet. He led the duo towards the main building in the manor. Along the way, Klein saw buildings like windmills, bakery, brewery, and militia training grounds. The entire manor appeared like a miniaturized kingdom. Apart from the lack of a blacksmith, it was completely self-sufficient. Most iron products were cheaper buying them from the city than personally making them. This is the pastoral lifestyle. Klein sighed silently as he followed Ukfa into the house and to his study. Ukfa didn't call the mistress of the house over, nor did he carry his child to meet Anderson and Klein. Clearly, he didn't wish for them to have any contact with the mysterious world. Hence, after he closed the door, he went straight to the point. What's the business? Didn't you wish to sell that revolver? He has intentions on buying it. Anderson pointed at Klein. Gehrman Sparrow. Gehrman Sparrow? The powerful adventurer who easily hunted Wormtongue Mither? Ukfa said in surprise, but he didn't show any fear. Although he had distanced himself from the adventuring lifestyle, he knew that he couldn't be careless. Therefore, while in Bayam, he would proactively keep himself informed to prevent trouble from happening. Anderson scoffed when he heard that. That's old news. This gentleman's achievements include successfully hunting Slaughterer Curtius while living to this day. Curtius? The second mate of the King of Immortality? Ukfa's expression changed. He couldn't hide his horror as he secretly turned wary. That's right, Anderson said with a self-deprecating smile. In the pirates' playground, he's the one who's recognized as the strongest hunter. Ukfa gulped as he looked at Klein. He couldn't help but smile and say, I believe you. Have the ability to buy Death Knell. Death Knell? Klein asked with piqued interest, but he didn't show it. That's the name of the revolver. It has accompanied me for a decade. Sigh if it's not because it overlaps in functionality with one of my other mystical items, and isn't of much use for me at present, I wouldn't be willing to sell it. Ukfa replied with a sigh. At that moment, Anderson sked with laughter. That wasn't what you said before. You said you preferred farming tools? A planter. Klein made the corresponding judgment based on Anderson's words and Ukfa's expression. Meanwhile, the corresponding potion names flashed through his mind: Sequence 9 Planter, Sequence 8 Doctor with the ancient name Healing Pastor, and Sequence 7 Harvest Priest. It's no wonder Anderson introduced him as his former team's doctor. Klein thought for a moment and said, "Do you know Frankly?" "Haha, no. Although I'm from Phaenopotter, my formula and ingredients were obtained by myself, one at a time. I had nothing to do with the Church of Earth Mother. Therefore, I wouldn't dare to return to Phaenopotter. However, I've heard of Frankly. He's someone who gives the Church quite a headache." Ukfa replied frankly. "He's only a Sequence 6 biologist, but he's given such importance by the Church. I really do wish to meet him if there's a chance." "No, you won't. You will regret having that thought." Klein could tell from Ukfa's answer that he believed in Earth Mother, and was likely a powerful Sequence 5 Beyonder. By his side, Anderson's face twitched when he heard Ukfa. He said with lingering fear, "That guy does give one a headache. In a certain sense, you can call him a devil. His powers and thoughts have exceeded the level of a Sequence 6. All right, let's not talk about him. Whenever his name pops up, I still remember the milk that was jettisoned." Ukfa looked at the duo in puzzlement as he restrained his looks of curiosity. He walked to the table's side, opened a drawer, and pulled out an iron black revolver that looked a little longer than an ordinary revolver. "This is Death Knell," Ukfa introduced it solemnly.